I never felt safe. That's not a quote from someone in a war zone. That's the feeling that pushed an American family to pack up their lives, leave everything behind, and move 5,000 miles across the Atlantic to Ghana. And they are not alone. For a growing number of African Americans, the American dream feels out of reach inside the United States. They're part of a modern-day exodus, a reverse migration that is both a radical departure and a profound homecoming. Since 2019, official records show at least 1,500 Black Americans have made the move. But the real number is likely much higher, with thousands more visiting, investing, and exploring a new way of life. But this isn't just a story about escaping racism, though that's a massive, undeniable part of it. This is a story about running towards something, towards a sense of belonging that has felt just out of reach for 400 years, towards real economic opportunities in one of Africa's most stable economies, towards a place where their heritage isn't a footnote, but the very ground they walk on. This is about a journey to find a place where they can finally breathe, a place where their blackness isn't a burden, but a birthright. So what's really driving thousands to trade the stars and stripes for the Black Star of Ghana? The answer is as complex, personal, and powerful as the journey itself. To get why someone would move across the world, you have to understand the weight. It's this crushing, invisible pressure, a daily exhaustion from living in a society that seems to constantly question your worth. It's the slow burn from 1,000 little cuts, the microaggressions, the security guard trailing you in a store, the backhanded compliment on how articulate you are. It's the feeling, as one person put it, of being an outsider in your own home. This simmering anxiety is then punctuated by moments of pure terror. For Keisha Bowers, who moved her family from Florida, the breaking point was the relentless trauma from news reports of police brutality. The names are a painful litany: Trayvon Martin, Sandra Bland, George Floyd. For her and so many others, it wasn't just news. It was a terrifying reminder of how fragile Black life is in America. She feared for her 14-year-old son, a tall young man with locks. In the US, that look can be perceived as a threat. It's a fear that forces parents to have the talk with their kids, not about birds and bees, but about how to survive a police encounter. This search for safety is a constant theme. Restaurateur Tally Woods described moving from Street Louis to Accra as the start of real healing, an escape from the land of your captivity and generational trauma. Dre Taylor, a real estate developer from Kansas City, said the same. He felt a sense of freedom in Ghana he'd never known, a release from constantly looking over his shoulder, from being scared for his life during a simple traffic stop. This isn't just about escaping physical danger. It's about finding psychological peace. It's about wanting to raise kids in a majority Black society where their identity is celebrated, not cross-examined. Many describe the move as an emotional and spiritual homecoming, a reconnection to ancestral roots that were violently severed centuries ago. For those making the journey, the question isn't just, why leave America? It's also, what does home truly mean? For thousands, the answer is waiting in Ghana. This wave of relocations didn't just spring out of nowhere. It was turbocharged by a visionary campaign from the Ghanaian government. In 2018, President Nana Akufo-Addo stood at the Washington Press Club and launched the Year of Return, Ghana 2019. The initiative was a symbolic and historic invitation to the global African diaspora, marking 400 years since the first enslaved Africans arrived in Jamestown, Virginia. It was a powerful call for the descendants of those stolen to come home. This was so much more than a tourism slogan. It was a deeply resonant act of reconciliation. Ghana framed it as a chance to celebrate the resilience of the African spirit and flip a painful anniversary into a moment of reconnection. The response was staggering. In 2019, international arrivals to Ghana shot up to over 1.1 million, a massive jump from the previous year, generating an estimated $3.3 billion in tourism-related revenue. Huge cultural events like Afrochella and Panafest became global phenomena, pulling in thousands eager to experience the continent for themselves. For many African Americans, it was the first time a nation had truly felt like it wanted them. The government backed it up with practical changes, like reducing visa fees and offering visas on arrival to handle the surge. Realizing they captured lightning in a bottle, the government didn't let the momentum die. It immediately launched Beyond the Return, a 10-year project themed a decade of African Renaissance. This wasn't just a year-long party. It's a long-term strategy to build lasting engagement through investment, cultural exchange, and clear paths to residency and citizenship. The plan is built on 7 pillars, including Invest in Ghana, and most importantly, Diaspora Pathway to Ghana. This turned a symbolic welcome into a practical, real-world roadmap for integration and shared prosperity. The power of this story is in its blend of personal journeys and historic shifts. If you're finding this exploration of reconnection and identity meaningful, take a moment to subscribe and hit the notification bell. We explore stories like this every week, unpacking the cultural currents that shape our world. Of course, moving to a new continent isn't a fairy tale. While the pull of heritage is powerful, the decision to move is also grounded in real-world logic, both the amazing opportunities and the serious challenges. For many, Ghana offers a shot at economic empowerment that feels impossible back in the States. As one of Africa's most stable democracies and fastest-growing economies, it's fertile ground for entrepreneurs. This has sparked a boom in Black-owned businesses. After seeing the demand for quality housing, Drew Taylor is now building a 105-unit luxury home development in Accra. Daija Gordon left Brooklyn in 2019 and opened a hit Jamaican food truck, building her business from scratch. These stories create a ripple effect, encouraging more investment and development, especially in real estate, where new communities like the Pan-African Village in Asebu are taking shape. However, the reality on the ground is complicated. Newcomers have to adapt to a different culture, a new pace of life, and major infrastructure hurdles. Unreliable power, heavy traffic, and underdeveloped public transport are common headaches. The job market is also tough, with high unemployment affecting both locals and new arrivals, which is why entrepreneurship or remote work are often the most viable paths. There are also subtle social dynamics to learn. Despite the warm welcome, returnees are often called a brony, a local word for a foreigner. While not always negative, it's a reminder that fitting in is a process. Tensions have also flared up, with some Ghanaians feeling the economic benefits of this new migration aren't shared equally, especially with rising land and housing costs in popular areas. Moving to Ghana isn't about finding a perfect utopia. It's about choosing a different set of problems. The challenges of building and integrating, rather than the soul-crushing weight of systemic racism. Maybe the most powerful part of this movement is how belonging is becoming official. Ghana's government has created real pathways for people of African descent to make the country their permanent home. The right of abode allows people who can prove their African heritage to live and work in the country indefinitely, though the application process can be lengthy and requires things like background checks and character references. Beyond just residency, Ghana has been granting full citizenship in historic ceremonies. In November 2024, a group of 524 people, largely Black Americans, took the oath of Ghanaian citizenship, the largest group to do so at once. For those who received it, the moment was life-changing. Daija Gordon described the feeling of validation. It just feels good to have a connection to an African country as an African American. Back in America, we don't have anything to trace our roots to but Africa. To have that connection here, I feel like I've done something right. This legal status is more than just a passport. For many, it's a spiritual settling of accounts. Keisha Bowers said she didn't need citizenship to know she was African, but her new passport was for her ancestors who dreamed of returning home, but never could. It's an act of reclaiming a stolen birthright, of mending a thread that was violently cut 400 years ago. To support this, the government has established the Office of Diaspora Affairs to actively help with everything from business advice to legal paperwork, proving that this movement isn't just being tolerated, but actively encouraged. So, why are thousands of African Americans relocating to Ghana? There's no single simple answer. It's a deeply personal choice, woven from 1,000 different threads. It's the push of racial fatigue and the pull of ancestral history. It's a search for a place of peace and a desire to heal a 400-year-old wound. It's the powerful, official invitation from a nation that sees the diaspora not as strangers, but as family finally coming home. And it's the promise of economic opportunity and the chance to build a legacy on the African continent. Underneath it all, this modern exodus is about the fundamental human search for home. It's a reversal of a historic tragedy, recasting a story of loss into one of return, resilience, and renaissance. The journey isn't easy, but for the thousands making it, it represents a choice, not for a perfect life, but for a different one. A freer life, where they are no longer outsiders in their own home, but builders of a future in their ancestral one. What does the idea of home mean to you? Have you ever felt a pull to connect with your ancestral roots? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching.